doesn't feel like February, but it is. And on this first Sunday of February, we're going to focus on the 12 powers power for this month, which is the power of love. The color's pink. That's why I have a pink shirt. See some other pink shirts. It took me a while, but someday I may actually wear the right color every first Sunday as we talk about the 12 powers. I'm working on it. Look at all these colors. I have most of them. The focus here is that God is love. And love is part of our divine inheritance. It is our true nature, in fact. Love is ours to claim, or we might say reclaim. It is one of Unity's 12 powers, defined as the ability to attract, to desire, and unify. It is, you can see it as unconditional positive regard. That's sort of a sciencey way of saying it. It is, in a very unsciencey way of saying it, it is the glue that holds everything together. The disciple is John. Every power has a disciple associated with it. The power of love is associated with John, representing unconditional acceptance and forgiveness. I want to read this from Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore from the Revealing Word. He writes, "Love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. The great harmonizing principle known to humankind. The glue." Also from the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, when love is established in the consciousness, it will draw to us all that we require. I'm going to say that again. When love is established in our consciousness, it will draw to us all that we require. That's a way to live. And from Colossians chapter 3, this is verses 14 and 15. "Above all, we read, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony, and let the peace of the Christ rule in your hearts." From a completely different time and part of the world, from the Sufi poet Rumi, one of my favorites, "Love cannot be contained within our speaking or listening. Love is an ocean whose depths cannot be plumbed." Right? That's a good description of the Spirit in general. Or as I've heard it said, if I have God all figured out, if I have God in the box, what do I need? Oh, come on. A bigger box. Hey, there is going to be a quiz. If I have God in the box, I need a bigger box. Right, because we cannot do that. How do we practice love? So here I'm going to get into some practical suggestions. These are nice descriptions and wonderful ideas. And as we do our prayer practice, we can touch the silence that underpins everything. We could call that love as well. And feel what this means, even though we're using words today to talk about it. But here are some practices that we can take up. How do we practice love? Because we want to do it not just in our heads, but in our actions. We begin with, this is entry level, we'll go up from here, at least practice tolerance. Right? Tolerance of others. Be kind. Live and let live. Those are some phrases that describe tolerance. Now, tolerance is certainly a step above nothingness or a step above animosity. But tolerance on the downside also says, you're wrong, but we're not going to cause trouble about it. Can you understand? You hear that in tolerance? It's better than nothing, but we can do even better than that. And if anyone is a beginner, just start with tolerance. That's a training wheel. Put that on your bike and ride that around for as long as you can. As you move to acceptance, right? Acceptance is a better place to be. It's an upgrade from tolerance. It's tolerance with the Jesus expansion pack, what you call it. It brings peace within ourselves. Right? Tolerance doesn't bring peace within ourselves. There is no opportunity for peace when I'm thinking that you're wrong and I'm just going to be nice about it. Right? Acceptance says, I accept you exactly the way that you are. I accept you exactly the way that you are. There's peace there because I can let go of how I think you're supposed to be, how I think you should be. Right? That's a burdensome thing to carry around. And love is never burdensome. Love is freeing, in fact. Love releases us from burdens. I accept you exactly the way you are. Now, if you look around the world and you might become troubled by what you see, it does not mean approval. Right? I'm accepting the fact that this is right where who you are right now. That doesn't mean that I approve of it, that I want to promote it, that I think other people should be that way. That's not it. So don't let the idea that approval is required, which it's not, don't let that stand in your way of acceptance. We can accept people exactly the way that we are. That's one thing that we do here in this community. In a sense, that's what we're all about. That's love in action, is accepting everyone exactly the way that they are. Because believe me, if you had all the same life experiences that they had, you would see how they see, and you would be in the same place that they are. So acceptance. We don't know their path. We don't know what's going on in their lives. We don't know their struggles. Right? Our job is to love them, not condemn. But even acceptance can harbor a kind of subtle condemnation. Right? Can you see this possibly underneath it? And watch for this in your own mind. It's not your fault that you're wrong. Right? There's still some darkness under acceptance. So the next upgrade is to love itself. Not just love, but divine love. Agape in the Greek. Agape love is divine love, the ultimate expression of love. Agape is where we want to be. It brings peace everywhere, not just within ourselves. It brings peace everywhere. It is a powerful change agent. It is the place we always want to begin, and to do that we need to find it first in ourselves through our prayer practice. Agape says, I see the Christ in you. I see the divine spark in you. When I look at you, I see a divine light. Period. End of story. No conditionals after that one. I see the Christ in you. No strings attached. I want to share this from a different Sufi, Hafiz, who wrote, and still, after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky. The sun doesn't say to the earth, look what I've been doing for you, you owe me. Right? The sun's light in that sense is modeling agape love. No strings attached. No, I'm loving you, so that means now you need to do X. Right? That's a string attached. That's why I say in our giving practice, in our tithing practice, we might refer to that as a free will offering. There are no strings attached. Because if I give a gift and there are strings attached, there's going to be a quiz on this too. That's not a gift, right? It's a bribe. That's right. If there are strings attached, it's not a gift, it's a bribe. And if you're compelled to do it, like you think you have to give because somebody told you that you have to, that's not a gift, that's a tax. Right? We're talking about a free will offering. Comes from my heart to wherever I've been guided to give, and I release it and I let it go with gratitude. It's incredibly freeing. I'm going to turn to the master teacher with some examples about what this agape divine love, this unconditional love looks like. This is from Mark chapter 12. It's an answer to the question, what is the greatest commandment? Jesus answered, the first is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no greater commandment than these. So this is all we need to know. There are many, many examples in the scripture that if we could fully live just that one verse, that one thing, that's all that we need. And this is one of them. Right? We love God, we love our neighbor as ourselves. He goes further. This is from Matthew chapter 5. We read, "You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven. For he makes the sun rise on the evil and on the good, sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous." That is a very powerful teaching in there. What it's saying is that God's love is without condition. The rain falls on everyone, not just the favored. The idea of the favored is a creation of our minds that's based in fear. The sun shines on everyone, not just the ones that we think it should shine on. That's an example using nature to illustrate the nature of God's love. Unconditional, same for everyone, everywhere. And from John chapter 13, "I give you a new commandment," he says, "that you shall love one another. Just as I have loved you, you shall love one another." So follow my example. That's why in unity we often refer to Jesus as our way shower, right? The one who has shown the way. I like to think of it as it's as if Jesus came into our awareness and kicked open a door to the Spirit that we didn't even know was there. And the invitation is to walk through the door and walk the path. Right? That's what a gift these teachings are to us. It shows us the way. And our part is to walk the way. Not to gather chairs around the doorway and decorate it and talk about how great the doorway is. Right? We stand up, put on our walking shoes, walk through the doorway, and we'll keep walking that path. One foot in front of the other. It's paved with love. It's paved with divine love. So here's a hard question. How are we going to walk this world with our eyes on God and our feet on the ground in this loving way that Jesus taught? The answer is divine love, agape love. It's love that looks past appearances, right? As we do in our community prayers every Sunday. The invitation there is to look past the appearance that is concerning us about any given person. Look past the appearance to the truth of being. Right? Agape enables us to live in harmony with the entirety of our universe. Agape love heals, it prospers, it attracts, and it holds. It unifies. It is the glue that holds all of creation together. And in it is great peace for us. So here's your homework to find out what all this means for you, because these are some wonderful ideas that I've shared, but all this means nothing if we don't put it in practice in our own lives. So to find out what all this means for you and how to live it in your life, begin, as I said, with tolerance at a minimum. Just practice that. It might be quite challenging. We might think of ourselves as a loving person until we catch sight of something on the news and all of a sudden that's all out the window. Right? I mean, even then, at least practice tolerance of others. If that's the best you can do, that's a step in the right direction, and we should absolutely do it. Move then, notice opportunities to move to acceptance. Can you let go of the part of you that is saying, well, they're wrong? Can you move to acceptance? Remembering it's not approval. I'm not saying I think that's a good idea. I'm saying that is how it is right now. And I'm not saying there's nothing I can do about it. Keep it simple. That's how it is. Maybe I'll do something, that's a whole different discussion. But we're talking about what's going on in our minds and in our hearts. In other words, Stop having fights in your head with other people who aren't there. Right? When that happens, that's a clue that we have work to do. If I'm doing that, and I do that, if I'm doing that, that's a clue I have some work to do. Can I apply tolerance at a minimum, acceptance even better? You know, the Jesus upgrade pack. And even more than that, are you willing to see the Christ in all people? All people. Here's another place where we can fool ourselves. I can see the Christ in everyone I like. Can I see the Christ in all people? Because to my mind, I aspire to see as Jesus saw. And from everything I've read and learned by experience, Jesus saw God in everyone and everything all the time, everywhere. And it was his life's mission to share that message, which was, as we know, a very dangerous thing to do. But yet, just with that story, there's always more going on than we can ever know. Always more going on. If we always return to love, if we're willing to put these things into practice, if we do our prayer practice and come to that still point that is within us, there's always more going on than we can possibly know. And we just show up and let it unfold around us. Are you willing to see the Christ in all people? I made a little note. I know you can, but are you willing to? I'm going to close with this affirmation, and then we'll move together into a time of meditation. The affirmation is from John 13. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples. When we practice this, here's what happens. Everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. Let's say that together. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. Take a deep breath of this.